Oh, this is interesting. Um, all right, so I'm ready to load the Linux sampler, and this is rather complicated and requires some learning here. Now, in the past, I would run this along with this program and just assign the Midi information, to it. It would just show up like this, and would work as a standalone in the background with Fantasia, which isn't running right now. And normally the Linux sampler, which runs with terminal, would have it written on that it's working. Um, but what's interesting here is I restarted. I had this going, and no, I restarted it because I had to reload the saxophone samples. Had When I redid the saxophone samples, I restarted it after having already run this song with the sampler, and didn't restart the computer, and did not expect that it would still be working, because it's not turned on. But obviously it's working in the background, uh, because it's a server thing, so it does work without it being seen or without the application being open, which is the first time I've come across that. Uh, so I'll just press play. Huh. Yeah, so it basically kept the same settings that it had, and this time running this as a plugin, which is I only tried this yesterday. Um, Reason being is there wasn't it was I was falling out of sync. The standalone and the instruments inside the DAW um, were slightly out of sync, not necessarily on this song, but it was another song. And so, in order to have control over the synchronization and make sure that all the notes start at exactly the right spot and that they don't drift, they pretty much need to be under the control of a master clock. And the only master clock, I don't have one externally, uh, so it really needs to run as a plugin, and that way it could be all perfectly synchronized. And so I just tried different ways of doing it, and um, I was going to make this video about doing that, but essentially, um, well, I'll just go ahead and start it. So, all right, well, I won't need to restart it because it's already running, obviously. But I'll start the front end, okay? Because it's not on. So this is how you would set up the instruments. So what I did to get it going is open up the program, write LinuxSampler right here. All right, press start, and then open up the plugin. And the plugin had a choice of 16 channels, so I put it for 16 channels. And here are the 16 channels opening up in Fantasia. This is like a front end. There's two different uh, front ends. There's this one which runs with Java. Java has its issues. I had to get a special version of Java specifically to run this because Java's got some pretty major security problems. But the way I'm running this, I'm not using it in an insecure way because it's internal. It's not talking to anything on the web. Has nothing to do with the web, so I don't have to worry about those kinds of problems. The other program that will work is called QSampler. Okay, so there's Fantasia right here, which is a very lightweight, 4.4 megabytes, and the Gig Edit. Another very, very lightweight old program from the 90s works. And then the QSampler, which I guess is C++. I don't really know that much of a difference. I find this one a little bit buggy. I don't know. It doesn't look as good. It works, but I just don't. I don't know. I just got used to using this. So here is the instruments you can load. You have the database, of course. But just to show where the files are, there's the Maestro Grand. No, I'm not gonna. We're not gonna open up a README. I was gonna open it up just to talk about the instrument itself. Well, I don't have to do it because it's already loaded. So it does gigasamples. And then so this is one piano which has this sound here. It's a Steinway, no, not a Steinway, but a Yamaha Grand. And then this piano is a much lighter weight, smaller. It's very rich sounding. And then the Salamander piano, apparently this is a famous patch. Apparently it's used quite a lot. Producers, and it is very mellow. It's got a really nice sound. It's again, it's a real sample. I believe it's from a Steinway, if I remember was reading it correctly. Um, at the Metropolitan or some famous piano that was played by many famous artists. And so these are the recreations of really, really high quality pianos. And I haven't found, well, Contact may be the closest other thing, or maybe, but as far as like free, because this is free software, again, difficult to set up and understand and get going. But you're not going to find better sounds then you go ahead, you spend all the time you want to find. This is it. And why it's awesome is because it has so many varieties of sounds. If we take, just open the editor right here, which is the Giga Edit. All right, so like there's the different variations. All the samples. There's hundreds and hundreds of them, and the 20 references. That means that there's 20 different times that this is referenced, depending on how from all kinds of different. So you can have just the piano itself with nothing, or you can have with the sustains in the release. So it goes on, and then you can even hear the effects, which is basically pedal noises. And so when you combine them, you have an A version and a B version. So the one is just slightly duller than the other. And so that's what I use for that. And the strings are interesting as well. The strings come from an old backup from a studio that I worked at a long time ago, and I'm not going to say these were acquired, like, as a backup, but this package, the GigaSampler package from Tascam, has been out of business since 2008, and that's from that vintage. And I just changed it. But what I had, I think, was this one right here, the strings sustained with the release. And here's all the different versions of the strings. It starts off as a basic instrument, and then of all these variations depending on what you're doing. Again, there's all manner of adjustments in here that take time, to learn. It's very, very, very powerful stuff. We have MIDI ports right here. Right now I've only got the one, but I can add more. Same with the audio devices. I'm just using, well, the buffers would be nicer if they were smaller, but okay. Yeah, so now it looks like once you have it set up properly, you don't need to run this again. So this is your initial setup, but once it's going, and you restart and you run the program, and it'll basically start up and remember everything just from this window right here. And none of the front end comes up as a plugin, but it serves as a bridge and runs in the background through a server, through the Apache servers. And it uses up a lot less resources, but requires some pretty fast hard drives, which is not a problem for laptops nowadays as it used to be. All right, so that is basically it. So I got the 3 pianos on the different honky tonks. I got the strings. The melody I don't have any assigned because we don't need to listen to it. The drums, contact, and then the bass. The bass I really need to change. I have 1.3 is the stand-up bass, but there's a percussion part that goes in, and then 1.2 is a funk bass, which I'll just try that and see what it sounds like. Let's turn the treble down. Here comes the saxophones. Here you can see the strings. Yeah, like that's a pretty decent sound. A little bit more care on the drums. I think the drums are a little sharp and could use more more cymbals or more hi-hat. But so for something like that, you just go to the drums themselves. I'll just raise this up, I guess, in the overheads. Then I'll save it. And the bass drum I thought was a little bit sharp as well, so I'm gonna take some of the treble out of the bass drum. This is kind of like my metal setting right here, so I'll add more mid-range. I usually cut the mids around 300 when I'm doing like rock and roll. That's about good. I can lower this up a bit. You know. Still very little so you can do is just that's the snare and that's the kick. And there's the hi-hats, and there you can see that they're quite quiet. I think the velocities are pretty low. So I'm going to raise that up. There. Yeah, so and just continue making adjustments like that. Yeah, very quiet. So you select them all by double clicking on it, and then you can lift up all of them from the selection. Like just let's just go like this, and then now they're all selected, and then just raise all of them up as such. So what it is every second one there's a loud one and a quiet one, so it's which is quite proper for hi-hats. And see the snare is at the highest, so it cuts through. Yeah, so you can see the loud, soft, and then yeah, so the shading tells you the intensity as well, but that's not loud enough. That's better. So that's part of mixing. Nice touch. Let's make that a little louder so it comes through. Yeah. Right. So that's it's getting close to printing. So now that just go through these and bounce this down. If you can multi-track this, or you can stereo track it. I kind of like if I really like the sound of something, what I'll do is I will just open up this program right here, and I'll just put it in record and the record everything right into here, and then take this file and then re-import it into a different session where if I was going to be live, um, I would remove whatever, like I'd remove the guitar. There's no guitar in this particular song, but I would, maybe make the guitar really low, or put the guitar in a separate audio output, so it could be used for a monitor, like let's say for headphones or in-ear monitors or something like that. So I could, stay in line with the song or whatnot. You can do things like that. That's one of the reasons why you would take something like this on a stage, is for those kinds of things. You can, you know if you really suck, you can, mute your instrument and then have the recording, when you didn't suck. But that's, I'll never tell if that ever happens. Nobody will. So that's it for that. And I might, well, all right. So that's it for that. The next one I'll do, I'll go ahead and sing. Probably not tonight, but I'll come back with this finished as a song. I'll come back with this finished as a song. And yeah, and post it online and have it part of a workshop for local people who are interested in learning how to do this. These techniques I'm using Digital Performer for this. However, I would probably be teaching people how to do this on Reaper. Same sort of idea, more or less. Reaper is very capable, but the thing with Reaper is that it's got a 60-day free, and if you decide to use it, you only pay $60. So it's much less expensive than this one here. If I show people how to use, like in a workshop with just Digital Performer, and they're using a different program, it's not really going to work. So the idea basically is I'm using this right now just for tutorials on how to load these things, but when it comes to doing the workshops, I'm going to go ahead and do everything that I did on this program with Reaper, and then offer this as a either a one-on-one for people who want to learn how to get into proper production. These kinds of workflows are what you can take with you to, for movies or television. Sorry about that. Somebody was sending me pictures. And the sky's the limit. And pretty much all of it is available for very low, almost free. The quality that comes out without having to pay a large amount is bloody amazing. Like the this line of product right here, the M compressor and the Melda products offer an extensive array of plugins that are just as good as anything. If anything, they're better than most. So if you're so if you want to get into something that's very technical, not technical, but very precise, without having to shell out a large fortune. Like for instance, if you're going to use Waves is very good sound as well, but very very expensive. I use Waves on a demo, and I just keep resetting it. That's my I just reset my my demos, and then because they have 30 days nag free. So well, if I wouldn't say I'm cheating the system or nothing like that, but it's a way to get to learn all this stuff.